Okay, so hi, welcome to my channel, or back to my channel. A few weeks ago I uploaded and I was super pumped because, you know, uploading does that to you. But I still felt like I couldn't make another video. Like, I felt like there was a blockage and I couldn't figure out what it was. So I was like, okay, I'll just film again when I feel good. And you know, and we tend to do that a lot, I feel. I'll wear this when I feel good. I'll do this thing with friends until I feel good. And then, this is gonna sound weird, I had an epiphany. Yes, I had an epiphany while watching YouTube videos. I was watching a video of this girl who does intuitive eating, and before I get to my epiphany, I need some context here. So I had an eating disorder when I was 13, 14. I was like anorexic for like a year and then I recovered. But it was like the type of like bad where I was like 82 pounds and I didn't get my period for like 9 months, almost a full year, that my development just like stopped. And I was introduced to intuitive eating about a year ago, and I was like, okay, this is cool, like just listen to my body. And I was doing it, but I wasn't really doing it. I was still finding a way to control it. So I took it as, I'm gonna eat, but I'm gonna do it in pauses, so that way I get full quicker and it's not a lot of food, and that's intuitive eating, haha. And like, no bitch, that's not how it works. Like, so I thought intuitive eating was awesome in my head because I was still trying to control it, and it just wasn't. I was getting really thin and really quick, and I felt really weak all the time. Like, and I've had periods like this ever since my recovery from my eating disorder, like 6 years ago. I've had periods where I'm like super skinny, and other times where I'm just like in the middle, and then other times I'm just like, oh my god, I'm like huge, I'm like enormous, and like, well, I'm not, but like that's how I feel. So here comes my epiphany moment. I just realized that when I was introduced to intuitive eating, that I wasn't doing it properly. I was still trying to control it. And to realize that, and to actually understand that I never really let myself try intuitive eating, it just kind of blew my mind. I was like, oh my god, like you've been self-sabotaging for like 9-10 months since you've been introduced to this concept, and you've been suffering. I've been in a bad place because of relationship endings and moving and school, but honestly a lot of it now I realize was because I was not in a steady, healthy relationship with food. And I feel like a lot of my mental health issues root back to that. And so I was like, oh my god, I need to start just eating and giving myself permission to eat. Like, that sounds so ridiculous, but if you've ever like struggled with like eating disorders, or you have like disordered eating habits, you understand that it's really easy to like have that mindset, especially because like diet culture is all around us. Like for me, it started when I was little, and my mom would go to these like dietitians, and like they would give her these pills, you know, it's gonna help her lose weight, and like this time she'll lose weight, and it never worked. So about 2 weeks ago, I started to give myself permission just to eat. It finally hit me, I really want to give this intuitive eating thing a chance, because it's an amazing concept. It's so simple. It's literally so in touch with like your physical body and your conscious mind. Like, I want to try this for real. And so about 2 weeks ago, I started just eating whatever I wanted. I just went with whatever I was craving. I quit veganism because I feel like, even though I started eating vegan because of ethical reasons, but incident where my stomach was really inflamed and I had to go to the hospital and all this stuff occurred because I was back to my binge and then binge restriction. And whenever I would binge, I would just binge on like junk food, and like that was vegan. And I'm not blaming veganism on my like issues, something that's been with me for a long time. I need to give myself full permission to eat whatever like my body's craving, so that I can recover and actually come back to veganism with not that mindset of, okay, this means I can restrict all these foods and I can only eat these foods. When I feel comfortable enough to know that I have healed my relationship with food, I'm gonna come back to veganism 100%. I just don't want to hurt any animals. I don't want to hurt the planet any more than we have, and I love being vegan, but it's just I need to deal with my shit first, you know? So I've been gaining weight, and I don't know how much because I don't own a scale. Like when I first started getting into intuitive eating last year, I threw out my scale to value my worth over how many pounds I weigh today. It's just like it's not sustainable, it's not healthy, at least for me. Anyways, so I've just been eating whatever I want in a sense, but ever since I've given myself like full permission to eat whatever I want, I've noticed that there's been a variety of foods that I crave, so there's been like a balance. So I've been eating a lot more foods. I've been having like full on like plates of food, when before, for the past 6 years, I've always stuck to like having a little plate of food. But since my body was in like a starvation mode for so long, not starvation mode, like I was at a healthy weight mentally, like I was still doing some restriction and I was still doing some binge eating because I would put foods on a pedestal and I wouldn't let myself like fully indulge in like the foods that I enjoyed and the foods that like fulfilled me like physically and emotionally. And insert clip here of like what I've been eating recently. I went from full on being vegan but still having these disordered eating habits to just eating a lot of animal products. But because I don't know, it's just like I mentioned, I've been in restriction mode for 6 years. Ever since I recovered, I never really recovered. I just got my period back, and yeah, my cheeks were fuller and my body was fuller, but I never really like actually nurtured my relationship with food. I just gained weight and everyone was like, oh, she's fine, her cycle's back, everything's good. Like, no, like I needed to get to the root of the problem. I'm not saying it's all good and fixed, because I still have a lot of work to do, and just finding a balance, and whenever going out with friends and stuff, just letting myself like fully have permission to eat. Also, not get hooked up on how much I weigh. Recently found this out, which gave me a lot of comfort. So whenever you're recovering from an eating disorder, everything you eat basically goes to your face and your stomach first, because your body's like, okay, like we've been in starvation mode. If there's food coming our way, we need to protect the vital organs that are all down here, and that's where it goes at first. And I always thought I was just the type of person that it all just went there and that's it. Like, I just can't eat too much or else it just goes to my stomach. Like, it doesn't redistribute like everyone else. That's really not the case, because I remember when I was like in 8th grade, when I was developing before I hit the eating disorder, I was like a size 6 in jeans. Everything like shrunk. Like my hips shrunk. I'm like a size 0 currently before starting this intuitive eating process. Double A cup boobs, which like again, like I don't really care about that. It's just once your body understands that it's gonna get a regular intake of food, it starts to redistribute. It's kind of up to your body when this happens, but because I've kind of been in this cycle since I was 14, 13, and I'm 21 right now, it's been a while, and I'm trying to be really patient with myself because it's only been like 2 weeks since I started doing this, but I have a trust that later on it will redistribute properly. I'm trying to be very kind and gentle with myself because it's, like I said, it's gonna be a process of just letting my body do what it needs to do. My set weight, which is something Laura Thomas talks about in her book, Just Eat It, which is how I got introduced to intuitive eating. It's a great book and I highly recommend it. It's basically like therapy in a book for anyone who's had like an eating disorder or is disordered eating or wants to reject diet culture. Starting this process, I'm realizing that I feel a lot better. I am definitely, like I said, like I'm gaining weight. Not only do I have like more energy, I feel good mentally. Like I feel like since my body chemistry is changing, I've had like very weird, like not mood swings, it's just like I'm much more aware of, like when I was like laying in bed last night, I was like, oh my god, like I can feel the pulse in my ear. I don't know, it's just weird, and my face feels a lot more like pink and like, well, I have makeup on right now, but I'm really excited to see like what this does for me, and you know, just getting back to just trusting that my body is gonna eat what it needs, it's gonna crave what it needs, and it's really just a game of trust, and finding that middle ground, that balance. And I don't know, I'm excited. I know I'm gonna be overwhelmed at some points and maybe get frustrated that redistributed to my hips or my thighs or, you know, or to my boobs, but I'm trusting in this process fully. It's just recovering. It's weird to say that. That's all I wanted to share, and just kind of think I'm definitely gonna talk about this a lot more and like keep updating you guys on what happens. Thank you so much for watching. If you watched all this, like, you are an angel. I don't know, sometimes I feel like I talk a lot, and sometimes I feel like I just go on and kind of lose track of like what I'm saying, and then I just come back to it, and then I'm all over the place. But yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.